Hey guys, welcome. So, as the title kind of suggests, that's what I want to talk about today is if I was going to start a $5,000 portfolio right now, what would I do? And I don't want to just list a bunch of coins, but yes, I will give some specifics and some thoughts on which crypto I would go for at this point of the cycle. But I also want to give actually the thought process of what I would do, how I would do it, and why. And realize there's a lot of ways to make money in crypto in every part of the market. In a bear market, in the bull market, when things are going up, they're going down, whatever. And there's multiple ways that you can do it for each time, right? And I just want to go over one method that I think would work really well right now and realize there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Based off of your risk aversion, your knowledge base, what you're actually interested into. Do you want to do more of a hodler? Do you have a time frame, etc.? But overall, it seemed like you guys liked the last one I did about $1,000. What would I do to get about 10K from that? And this is different, by the way, because when you have a different amount of money and it's a different time in the cycle, I do think that there are better or worse things to do. So that's what I want to talk about today. And as always, put in the comments down below of your thoughts of how would you do it a little differently? What do you like? What would you not do the same? Because we're all different and I like having discussions about it. But let's hop right into this of what I would do with $5,000 to start a portfolio right now. So I'll pull up some charts as I talk about the coins in a little bit, but I need to get the thought process down first of what's the actual methodology I would do. And I've done similar things like this before. But let's see at $5,000 right now, what coins would you buy and why? Right? Like in the past altcoin season, we go Bitcoin, Ethereum, large caps, and there's smaller and smaller from there. And we are very clearly and painfully obviously, I think, in the Ethereum stage. All right, we're just keep tiptoeing around the all-time high. I think it was yesterday we were $55 away from 5K. So sorry, we've passed the all-time high. We're looking at breaching that 5K marker. We might test it one or two more times. But the next thing to move is the large caps. And that's where I would start right now with the vast majority of this 5K. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. It's a methodology that I want you to think about. But I would take 4K of that, divide it in two, and put 2K in one large cap and 2K in another one, and wait for them to hit somewhere between a 3 and 10x, depending on what your belief is of how far they're going to go in the time frame, right? Because we don't need to instantly get a 50x. At least that's not my style of going for it, right? If I can collect a 5x, I can compound, move that into another coin that 5x's, move into another one that 5x's. And I found that frequently that moves so much faster than just waiting for something to 10 or 20x. There's always exceptions, always. But that also means it's the exceptions, not the generalities. So depending on how risky, how long you want to wait, or what your conviction is, I would go for a 3 to 10x, move those out, and then compile them into a moderate cap. To finish the thought, and then we'll go in a little bit more details, is I'd still have $1,000 left over in this hypothetical example. All right, I would move all 1,000 of that to front run some of the high risk plays so I get in at a low price. Meaning I would put 500 into a meme because memes overall, though everything is coming up, memes are still a little suppressed as a narrative right now. And then 500 into a micro cap because that's where everything goes last. And this way you can get a low entry in. So if it hits, you can get maybe a 25 to 50x on a micro cap. Or if you try to enter it later when everyone's moving their profits in, like I'll talk about, it might only be a 5 to 10x at that point. So I want to front run those. Now let's get into more details about the large cap coins and how I would move them into moderate. And then also tell you what memes I would look at this moment and a few ideas of micro caps as well. Personally speaking, I think Solana is the safest 3 to 10x play right now. More realistically, I think it's in that 3 to 5 category. We're sitting at $200. But Solana is the number 6 crypto. It is large. It is going to get larger. Everyone knows about it. There's an ETF that is coming out for it. We're essentially just waiting for the finalization of saying what date is going to happen. There are so many things that run on Solana that this thing's going to skyrocket. This will probably be one of the first large caps, likely with XRP as another one that's going to move first. And though there's obviously the best time to buy was, a day or three ago, $200 for Solana, I think, is still set very well to 3 to 5x. I think it's going to be somewhere close to a $700 to $900 coin. A lot of people think a lot higher. Go off of what you believe when you do your own research. But I would put 2K personally probably directly into Solana. And then I like to do a slight pullback method, right? To where if we're currently at 200, once it hits 600, that 3x from now, essentially, I would pull out a third of my Solana, which at that point, a third of what I put in would have been, if I put in 2000, a third of that's roughly 700. If that 3x, I can pull out 2100 and now move that 2100 into another either large cap that hasn't hit or a moderate cap. And then I still have the other 2/3, which is now roughly 4K. If I put 2K in and it 3x, and we're looking at a $600 Solana, let that run up. I'd pull another third out maybe when it hits close to 700, and maybe the rest or half of what's left over when it gets to 850 or where, based off of how high you think it's going to go. And you can move those in large chunks into the moderate microcap coins before they hit. And then if those get another 5 to 10x, you see how quickly this can go up. Yes, know your tax laws in the area, because at this point, this would all be short-term capital gains. And if we started a portfolio right now, there is no long-term gains tax. So depends on where you're at, how that affects you. But though I don't like paying taxes like anybody else, if you're paying taxes, it means you're making money. So it's not the world's worst thing. Just have it accounted for. But Solana would be a strong, that would be one I would go to right now. Now, what other ones I would look at? I want to give you a list of a couple. We'll slam through these pretty quick because likely you're familiar with these. A big one for me is Avalanche, AVAX. Looking at the last month, this is kind of the way it usually goes. Let's pull up a longer chart. And this would have been during the Trump pump inauguration. And it did pretty well. It got up to, I think it got closer to 60. Okay, 55. So it's double where it is now. So it's already doubled once. And the next big pump is going to, I'm very confident we get at least there. Again, Avalanche is a layer one. You realize a lot of the safest and large caps are going to be layer ones because all the other crypto are built up upon it. So Avalanche has a lot of gaming and hasn't really hit this year. I think that this is the next obvious sleeping giant. I was saying about like Ethereum was, and now I think it's Avalanche. And personally, this is probably the other one I would get into. It's slightly higher risk than Solana, but it is still number 18 coin. There's a lot moving on to it. Avalanche has been here for a long time. A couple other quick hits that I would look at depending on which crypto you like more, what's your risk aversion, how far you think it's going to go. Another one I would look at is hbar. So this one also really depends on how high you think it's going to go. So this is on the year chart. God, I miss those prices, but I like seeing the chart the way it is now. We've hit about 37 cents at one point this year, and we're floating around 25. So this is number 17. I guess we took a step down, step up, however you want to call it. So I think Hedera is going to be around a $1 to $1.25 coin this cycle. I think in the future a lot further. But again, go by what you think. A lot of people are also saying $2 or $5. I'm not falling in that bandwagon. So, but go with what you think. So if I think it's going to hit at most $1.25, I see it as probably about another 3 to 5x also. And I think this would be another good move for a large cap that is very confidently going to go up. It is very popular. It's already gone up quite a bit. A lot of people talk about it. It's Americanized crypto. It's in tokenization RWA, which are big narratives. It's kind of actually in everything for that matter. But I think HBAR would be another good large cap to look at. Let's look at a couple more possibilities. I've been thinking about and looking a lot more into Filecoin because of how it's been quite suppressed, in my opinion, recently. And another larger cap, not huge, 1.6 billion. Again, I like comparing it to where did it pump on the last local high, which for most of these crypto is going to be during around December, January when Trump was inaugurated, or around April. And this last one was during inauguration. It got up to about a little less than a 4x from where it is right now, cleared the $8 mark. So I think this one has a lot further to go. It's a little bit riskier. It's in terms of how soon it's going to hit. It's a large cap. Filecoin's popular. It's really good for cloud storage. It's going to do well, but it might hit later than hbar and Solana and Avalanche. But I think this one could go a lot closer in the short term to $20. And if we pull up of what it looked like in the last cycle, you can see it can go a lot further than $20. But if I was looking for a large cap to start with, I would probably start pulling it out closer to some at the $10 to $12 to get a 5x, because I'd be more confident this one will 5x than Solana will. It'll just do it later. And I can just go for larger chunks. I mean, last cycle, this thing hit well over $160. There you go, 191 at one point. Really with liquidity closer to 150. Not saying I think we'll get up that high, but I think there's a lot of room for this one to grow. This is closer to a moderate cap by a lot of opinions on large cap, but I think it's in the same category worth looking at. Quick honorable mentions for large caps would also be Toncoin. You could look at, again, closer to moderate size caps of Aptos and Ondo. And it's really all about risk and what expediency you want and expect. So to recap that real quickly, if I had 5K, I'd put 2,000 into crypto each, probably one of those listed, and have expectations of Solana would probably be the first one to hit. I just don't think it has as many multiples as most of the others to go. And then I would choose one of the other ones. So we still have $1,000 that are left over. But do you see how this could make a huge difference if you put $2,000 in, triple that one, you got up to 6, move that 2,000 into 3 other coins, and they all 5x. See how quickly this adds up? Because with that example right alone, you'd already have about 35,000, right? And then you could always do it again, replicate. You could even take some profits at that point, move 5K then into 3 other micro caps or memes, and see if you can get another 2 to 5x on each of those. Again, talk to your financial advisor, understand the tax laws, but you can accumulate a lot pretty quickly. Just have it as a plan, because when the altcoin season comes and there's a lot of volatility, it will mess with your emotions. So have a plan and stick to it. Now, quickly, I want to give a list of just what some of the micro caps and meme coins I would throw into it. Right? There's a crap ton of options, and it really just come down to which community you think is going to pop, and if you want to get a larger cap meme or a smaller one. Right? I would look at the moderate term right now, things that are somewhere between 250 and 750 million. Might consider that small, but that's the range I would probably look for. I mean, I love Foxy. It's under a 10 million. But again, the lower the market cap, the higher the risk. Or like Pepe is very good, but that one's already pretty large. And for a meme, I would want to look for a larger return. You could also use it as like a hedge or one of your large cap possibilities. Would work perfectly fine. I would probably look towards Toshi, Degen, or Turbo personally. I just want, those are the memes that I've looked into the most. That's a big part of it. I know they got strong communities. I know they got a lot of good backing behind them. A lot of them, the inflation is pretty good on them. Toshi and Degen is on Base, which I'm a huge fan of how Base is working and what they're doing and providing. So that's probably where I would look. That means you got a large category. If you're willing to, if you only want to stay on Coinbase or Binance, which for this part of the cycle, I would, because where's everyone else going to buy when they hop in, right? They're not going to be, you're not going to have newbies get a VPN and go on a bunch of these degenerate spots. But that is an option. There's just a higher risk one. And then based off of what meme you have a realistic goal of how many multiples can you get before you start pulling money out to either collect profit or compound it over into another crypto, just like described before. And which ones I would do would all depend on when this one hits, right? Like I could have in mind, oh, I'm going to take some profits and then move it into Avalanche. But if Avalanche has already gone from $25 to $90, I probably won't. And we can't foretell the markets like that. So that would, which ones I would move into would be very dependent on how's just the market doing in general. And then real quick, $500 left from the base plan of where would I put into a micro cap. There are so many options. Again, I would stick to ones that are in Binance or Coinbase because that's where most people are going to hop in. I like Illuvium. I like ASM. If I went off of Binance and Coinbase, I'm not sure if it's considered a micro cap at this point, but I really like Beam. It's doing a lot with gaming, and gaming as a narrative just hasn't really hit. There's a ton of AI agent plays out there that you can get into. Some of the smaller dexes like Pangolin or Hashflow I like. I think those are going to have good runs coming up. Again, later in the run because of the hierarchy, microcaps usually get hit at the end. And those are going to be the higher risk ones. But I would want to front run one and a little bias into it because I'm already in Illuvium and ASM. But if I had to get into another one, I'd be very open to suggestions. But the ones I know, Hashflow, I've done pretty well with that one before. I would get into it, or maybe I would double down on a microcap meme that is on Base or Binance. So to summarize this really quick, if I had 5K, I would split 2,000 into a large cap, let that 3 to 10x depending on my belief of how far it's going to go. Take another 2K, put into another large cap, same thing. I'd expect those to hit first, move most of those profits into other coins to get them to 3 to 10x, and then start collecting a lot of profit from there. With the other 1,000 initial, I would put 500 into a meme. I would personally look at a smaller cap coin, definitely under $1 billion for my opinion, because I'd be looking for a high reward on a meme. And either, depending on how the market's going, take all that as profits or compound it in other crypto and do the same thing with a micro cap. Well, there are so many different ways you can do this, and just make sure you guys collect profits, right? Use that sell button and ignore all the other noise, right? Once you start selling, unless it's at the height of the altcoin season, which I'll be selling then too, right? But if you first start selling before that and you have people telling you it's too early to sell, what are you doing? You know what? If it's a good time for you to sell, it's a good time for you to sell. It's never a bad idea to take profits. And I mean, it could be early, right? But that's also based off of your goal. I'm looking at selling probably in September. Very good chance. Not all of my crypto, not even close. But I think I'm going to start taking some profits in September. I'll do a video about that soon as to why. But people are telling you it's too early. Then at least it's not too late. And as dumb as that sounds, I would rather make sure that I made money and thought at the end of the day, wow, I could have made more. I could have had a second Lamborghini instead of just one, versus I waited too long and round tripped that shit. So let me know what you guys think. What would you do with 5K? Again, I did one with a 1K video. I might do one with 10K because my strategy would expand a little bit more, mostly on how risky I would want to be. But whole different story. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for being here. Peace.